Hi, it's Nell, and today I'm going to be talking about how to care for a very popular flowering houseplant, the Calandiva. So if you like videos about gardening both indoors and out, be sure to subscribe because I post videos on a regular basis here, and I'd love to have you come back. I'm jumping in for a hot minute in real time. It's June 22nd. I'm going to post this in a couple of days, but I filmed this whole video at the beginning of March because I do a lot of batch filming in the spring because it is so hot here in Tucson today. It's 106. We also have a major wildfire going on, so it's very smoky. But what I wanted to tell you is not all the information is going to be in this video. There will be a lot more detailed information in the post, like I will cover soil, I will cover pinching and pruning, I will cover propagation, and I will cover pests along with a few other things. So be sure and check that out. It'll be in the first couple of lines of the description box if you are really interested in this beautiful blooming houseplant. And I also want to say happy summer, because summer has arrived, and I hope you are all doing well in this crazy time in our world, crazy in many, many ways. So that's what I wanted to say, and this little bug is about to fly into my mouth. So back to the regularly scheduled program. Now I've already done a post and a video about the flowering Kalanchoes, the Kalanchoe E blasfeldiana, but the Calendivas oftentimes just go by Calandiva, and they are a Kalanchoe, so that's why I wanted to do one separate on the Calandiva in case you're searching for that. Now I bought these Kalanchoes, there's actually three of them. You're going to see the other two soon. I bought them and one had this tag on it which says Sunflower Sue grown just for you, and all it says is Calandiva. So it doesn't say Kalanchoe on here at all on the back or the front. So that's why I thought I would do a separate one on the Calendivas. Now the blasfeldianas, which are also called the Florist Kalanchoe, they're called Flaming Katie. They've been around for a while, but the Calendivas were introduced, I think, around 2003 or 2004, and they have a nice long bloom time, anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, which is great, and they come in vibrant colors. And the other thing is that they've got the double flowers instead of the single flowers. How nice and colorful the table looks now. They come in these really nice, vibrant colors. There's a few different shades of pink. There is a red one. There's also white. Usually see the white one around the holidays, mostly, but they're really nice and bright and cheery. And of course, they are grown for their flowers. They have beautiful foliage too. So this is actually the Kalanchoe E blasfeldiana. It has a single flower. These are the Calendivas on either side. I just, wanted to show you the difference in the flower. They're oftentimes called the rosebud Kalanchoe. Also, this one has more of an open form, as you can see, whereas this one grows denser, so you will even get some, variations in those. But I just wanted to put the blasfeldiana in there because it's so pretty with the other two, and I love orange. So they are readily available at a lot of different places. I've seen them at Trader Joe's, Lowe's, Home Depot, all those kind of stores, your garden centers. So they're very, very easy to find, and most people treat them as a one-time blooming plant because it is a little bit tricky to get them to flower again. I will go over that at the end. And the stems get really leggy over time, so I haven't grown them. I haven't grown one for more than 3 years. I just did it as kind of an experiment. But I usually do them, enjoy them during their bloom time, and if anybody wants a plant, I will give it to them. So in terms of light, they like bright, natural light. That's where they do their best. You can have them in low light, especially if it's one like this, where the flowers are almost all open. That will be just fine. It won't start to look the sort of peaked for a couple months, so that would be fine. But if you get one where the flowers are half open and it's in a lower light, they aren't going to open as readily as they would be in a brighter location. So the only thing is just be sure to keep them out of hot sun, because they are the succulent. They will burn if they're right in a hot window, and the more light and the more heat they get, the faster the flowers will open up and the faster the bloom time will go. And what I mean by the faster the bloom time will go, the faster in a period of time it'll go by, so it'll be a shorter bloom time if it's hot. It's the same as if you have, cut flowers or any flowers and it's really hot, they're going to open up a lot faster in the heat and the sun. Now, in terms of watering, I water them a little bit more than I do my other succulents. And the most common sizes you see them in are 4-inch and 6-inch. So a 4-inch plant you might need to water a little more often, whereas a 6-inch plant you wouldn't water it as often. I water mine every 7 to 14 days. And depending on what the temperatures are. As I said, they are succulents, so they store a lot in their leaves here, but I don't let mine go completely dry, but I don't want it sopping wet either, especially when blooming. And another reason why you don't want to keep it too wet is because this foliage grows so densely, it's not really going to give it time to dry out a bit, so just don't overwater it. And one thing that I forgot to say in regards to the watering is that I take these out of these pots, because these pots don't have drain holes. They're actually in the grow pots, and I let the water drain out completely, and then I put them back in there, because you don't want any water building up in the bottom of the pot, because that will lead to rot very fast. And in terms of temperature, average home temperatures are just fine. Just be sure to keep them out of any drafts, any cold drafts, or away from any heat vents, and that will be fine. I grew them outdoors in Santa Barbara on my covered front porch. So if you want to put them outdoors, for the summer, that's fine. If you buy them, they can go outdoors too. Just be sure to keep them out of hot, direct sun. And if it's still flowering, when it gets cold and it's going to freeze, just be sure to bring them in. Now, I'm not going to go into things like soil and repotting and pruning and all that here, because, as I said, these are usually grown as a short-term blooming plant to enjoy. But I will say that if you wanted to give it a little fertilizer while it's blooming, you could do that. Something like a good houseplant fertilizer. I use Eleanor's VF11. I haven't given them any, and I usually don't, but you could if you feel yours needs it. I know a lot of you have pets, as I do, and yes, and this one, like many houseplants, this one is toxic to pets, but I always consult the ASPCA website to see in what way it is toxic and what it will do to a pet. But hopefully your pets are like mine and they leave plants alone. So in terms of the flowering and the rebloom, this is the tricky part, why it's not always easy to do. Mine in Santa Barbara on my front porch would rebloom again because they were outside, but the bloom was never as full as the initial bloom is. But they are photoperiodic. That means they respond to periods of light and dark, just like a poinsettia needs those prolonged periods of darkness to bloom again. So it does require about 14 hours of darkness to rebloom for at least 6 weeks. So that means you're going to have to put it in a closet, and then it's going to have to get light. You back off on the watering, and then when it starts to set buds, you can start to water again. So it is a little bit of a process to get them to bloom. And besides the fact that they are tricky to get to bloom again, or they take some effort, they do get on the leggy side, so you have that with them. But they are wonderful to enjoy while they are in bloom. And if you want to try to get them to bloom again, you can do some research online. There's some information on it, but just know that you're going to have to put some effort into it. So here's a little trick that I do with these. They are so thick, and there's some blooms in the middle that are going to come up. I will take some of the leaves out. I will just snip out a few of the leaves here and there where it looks like some of the flowers are going to have a hard time emerging, and that just gives them a little more room to bloom, because that's why we want these plants. You know, we want the flowers to show. And that's all I'm going to go into here. They're really easy to maintain, and they're also really easy to enjoy. And the good thing is you can find them year-round. Alrighty, it's about 2.5 months later. Here is old Sunflower Sue, if you remember her. And I cut off about 8 inches off of it when I took the flowers off, the part that was flowering so abundantly. And underneath all these big leaves, which I thinned out, there are some new buds coming. So I'm going to turn it around so you can see. And you get a little bit of a second flowering out of it. And this doesn't happen with all of them, but with some you can get just a little more bang for your buck. Right after the big flowering, you can get another little flowering. So they're really wonderful and colorful and beautiful to have in your home, much longer lasting than cut flowers, and easy to maintain also. And speaking of which, there'll be more information in the blog post for you. The link will be right down in the first couple lines of the description box. So I hope you have found this video to be helpful, and I have a lot more videos coming your way, so be sure to come back for more. I appreciate all your likes and your subscribes. Now let's get out in the garden or into our indoor gardens and make our worlds a more beautiful place. As always, I thank you so much for watching. Catch you in the next video. Bye.